Hello, Tony here for Sprint8. Final sprint before the final sprint, I suppose. Sorry about not getting a video out last week. It was, yeah, I'm not gonna give you any real excuses, but anyway, I got a video this week. And I've done quite a bit. Lots changed. And I've got a pretty good saving system to present here. Well, at least I think so. I have a feeling you won't think so, but business as usual. Anyway, so I've got a quick little document here on the saving system, which is in the same place as the game demo document, which that one hasn't changed that much, but this one's updated by now. Yeah. So it's just in my student folder on Perforce. It's outside all the Sprint folders, at probably at the bottom. Anyway, I'll just go through it here. So saving system, right? I'll just go through a quick rundown of how to use it, and hopefully not go too long in the video, right? Because I have been working on catching up on stuff, by the way. Um, I'll show off a few things, but mostly I'm just gonna focus on the saving system here and a little bit on the demo. Just get your what do you think of that? Plus, that's really what I'm supposed to be doing for the sprint anyway. So yeah, I'll just focus on the saving system. Then we'll look at the demo a little bit while we're looking at the saving system by the nature of the demo anyway. So step one is to inherit from the savable class. Similar to basically the same as the game object. Just it's separate from the game object, unlike all the other expls because, well, standard expls, because for efficiency reasons and just user purpose reasons, because you don't want everything to be savable, and it's you don't want to bloat the I didn't want to bloat the game object class anymore, so just so you know, conscious decision on that. And honestly, doesn't really make that much difference to me, but I think it makes more sense this way. So, leave something in the grading box if you want me to change that for the final turn in, but otherwise, I will just assume that you're fine with it. So yeah, second step is to register it, similar to expls, except templates, which we'll talk about later. That's key to how my whole system works. And oh my gosh, joy of the templates. I think I found out the hard way what the previous classes had to do for the collidable system, because the error codes are they're fun with templates. But I actually figured out how to read them. They're not as bad as I thought it was going to be, just judging by the amount of the wall text and the weird look. You just have to actually read it. Anyway, so step 3 is to make your templatized. Actually, they're not templatized. These aren't templatized. The ones that the user writes aren't. But yeah, you write the the user writes save to file and load from file, which is inherited from the savable class, obviously. Which these functions both use the save data and load data functions, which are not written by the user. Yeah, so basically these call the serialize and deserialize functions that are in the save manager class, which I'll show in a second. So yeah, these are written by the user to save and load files. So basically these aren't even called by the user. They're called by the engine, which is they're called when a overall save or load is called. So that way, basically you just have to call the save once somewhere from like some sort of I don't know, level manager, menu, UI, whatever the heck the user wants to call it from. Because the savable manager is basically just a singleton, and it has a function that allows you to trigger this, and it will propagate that throughout all the registered savable classes. Basically, if you want to see an example of what a user might write, they might write like this. So we got our saved file class. So basically, on the player tank, I'm just saving the position and rotation for simplicity's sake, right? And then in the load from file, you then load it out. You do have to load it out. The one limitation is you do have to load it out in the same order, but it's not really limited on what type of class you want to put in there. For example, this is a vect and this is a matrix. Yeah. So as long as there's not like pointers in there that includes other information, you can't really do like hot cold thing. You'd have to like load them separately if there's multiple classes within the. But I mean, I would assume the user is not doing that, and even if they are, then they can just load it separately. So like you'd have the parent class here, and then you just go through the pointer to load the other class. Similar to like networking issues that I had in the networking class, you have to serialize and deserialize. And anyway, this is not relevant here. So also in these functions, of course, you can do other things like say set all the rotations to the loaded rotation, which is useful. So the slightly unintended perk from having these defined for the user. Right. So an enemy tank, I've got both them rigged to save. In the scene entry here, I just have to save registration and save your registration. So pretty similar. You have your similar to the collision system. You give it whatever type you are or whatever class it is because it's templatized, which is important later. I'll get into that in a second. So I just have on the player tank here, I just have it rigged so that I can trigger the save on the 1 key, and on the 2 key I can trigger the load. So yeah, just go through the savable manager here. Of course, so you can attach this to whatever type of construct you want, which hopefully I want for the final what's it called turn in. I want to have a menu or some type of UI, probably in a separate scene. Well, yeah, it'd probably have to be in a separate scene. Anyway, yeah, and of course you can specify which save slot you want here because it will save into a different file. Because it just takes the number, converts it to a string, adds it to the address basically. And yeah, how am I doing for time? Well, it's going anyway. I'm sorry, my videos are always so long. I just am terrible about condensing them down. Well, actually, usually I film it several times because the first time is always way too long. Anyway, back to the presentation. So yeah, that's it's got some descriptions here, which basically I'm going to go through verbally because it's easier. But if you want to, read it, you're welcome to. I will be probably updating this document fairly frequently. I might even ask you if you want to read it over again sometime before the final turn in. But that's future. Let's focus on the now. Right. So let's look at savable because that's changed since last time you saw it. A little bit. Changed a little bit. Got a registration functions actually really is the only change. And then these are the save and load data functions, which basically just calls the serialize and deserialize through the savable manager, which is under these templatized functions. Yeah. Of course, got some references here. Similar to the executable classes, I have put references in so that it's fast access when you're deregistering and whatnot and erasing stuff. Yeah. Anyway, let's look at the savable manager. No, I haven't pulled out the savable group, have I? So savable group, similar to the collidable group, but is different in a few important ways. Got register, deregister, and then got a save all and load all, which is important because it handles the basically it calls the user-defined save to file, load from file functions, which we looked at earlier in the various tank classes. So basically, it calls these two functions, not files. So yeah, it just runs through, calls the function on all of them. So that's how that gets called. Fairly straightforward, apart from the going around in a circle of registration, or the indirect registration thing, which is same as or very similar to expls. Anyway, let's look at the savable manager. So again, here's the save and load functions. Just calls the deserialize and serialize. Also, here's the trigger save and trigger load, which basically just triggers the save and load for the entire scene or game, really, to be honest. So we got the that's not really important. Let's just move on to interesting things. So here's the register function. It's kind of big just because it has to deal with setting up the savable groups and the associated save data. Right, for the loading. So of course it's templatized. Yay, templates. I had a joy of a time debugging these. Actually, none of my problems were from the templates, as I originally thought they were going to be. No, it was all simple stuff, like, do you know how to use a map? I actually did this templates perfect the first time somehow. I don't know. Luck, I guess. Except for the amount of time I spent trying to figure out how to use refigure out how to use templates. Anyway, deregister, very simple because it has a reference to the group and then the collection. Basically, it just goes along the references to deregister. Real easy. Serialize and deserialize, pretty much the same since the first prototype. Changed a little bit because I have to keep track of the position now because I'm saving and loading multiple things. So got to run along the file a lot. Anyway, let's look at the most interesting thing. I mean, I do clean stuff up. I'm a clean boy. I'm a good boy. Right, so when the save game is triggered, again, this is the overall, well, this is private version, the private function version of the overall save, right? So obviously opens the file and closes the file. So don't bother with that in the serialize function anymore because I don't want to be opening and closing the file 100 million times. Right. So basically, we go through, we serialize the. So the way it's ordered in the binary file is giving away my trade secrets. Is it first? It saves the size of the class name of whatever the first thing or first savable group is, right? So let's say player tank. So there's really only one player tank you're saving, but doesn't matter. First, it'll save the size of the class name player tank, which is pretty neat because oh yeah, that's right. I didn't point this out. This is a cool thing I found on the internet. The type ID dot name. Yeah, you can. It gives you a string version, or it gives you a string of the class name, which I thought was super cool, especially since it works with templates. So you can get what the class name is. I like it. It's cool. And of course, these class names will be defined by the user. So I have no way of knowing ahead of time. Hence, the templates and this class name thing. So this is the way we can keep track of what class is what without having to rely on the user to tell us, which is awesome. I'm very happy with this part of the system. Way too happy, if I'm honest. Yeah. Anyway, so then it serializes the name of it. So that's the header right there, and then it will go through and load all the data from every single object in that this particular group of class or class group or savable group has. So in this case, it'll just load the data from the position and the rotation from the one player tag. Close the file, and then when we hit load, it will, open the file, go through some stuff, figure out what the name is of the thing is. It'll find it in the map. Yes, stable groups, their map specifically for this reason. So now I can find this is because it'll probably, like, the registration may not necessarily be in the same order every single time. So I made this system to keep, and obviously we don't know what the user wants to save, what the class name is, all that stuff is up to the user, and I want to be able to deal with that. So it finds it, and then it will trigger the load all into on all those. Yeah. So yeah, I probably will change this a little bit so that the user can load specific ones in a sense. Like, so it'll work with so then the user can have a little bit more functionality in that they can reload through a factory. In this case right now, it's just um, going through the registered. So basically, I have 6 enemies. They're all registered to be saved and loaded. So basically, we'll just go through and in obviously a random order, although it may be the same each time just because I, of how I've set up the same scenario every single time. But right now it's just going through, which is not really a big deal in that um, they're all 6 enemies and they're all interchangeable because they're all the same class. So, but I'll probably add a little further functionality for that. So anyway, I've been talking way too long without showing anything. Gone up to 17 minutes again. Let's just show the roll the clip. Anyway, so right, so we've got our game here. Obviously, I've added some AI. That's pretty cool, I guess. It was a fun time. Oh yeah, OBB's work, by the way, pretty neat. Um, Side note. So I just hit the save key or 1. So I'm gonna back up here and then just reloaded it. So it's automatically going through and reloading everything. That's everything that's registered. Bullets obviously aren't registered to be saved for obvious reasons. So yeah, that's yeah, that's saving system. I'm pretty proud of that. Let's see, let's prove that I can. Oh, darn it! Why didn't that work? Hmm. Well, it should have. For some reason, it didn't work that time. So reloading the from file. Hmm. I'll have to check that out. But it works for the most part here. That was probably just some error with the map. I hope anyway. So I hope you're fairly happy with this. Oh yeah, there's also a couple other things I should probably show. So I do have a height map that I made. I'm gonna be putting that in once I get the terrain collision working correctly. Still got some catch up to do. Yay me, but I'm working on it. And I also found a pretty cool house model. Yeah, it's actually not too many polys either, at least compared to my tank. Already got a Zool model. I haven't put in the actual game yet. It's got a texture too that comes with it. Pretty neat. Anyway, be putting that in. I've got to cut out the video. It's been way too long. I'm sorry. Okay,